Dude, Jerusalem is like incredible. We used to go for a Sabbath dinner for the folks at home, Friday night Shabbos dinner.
Yeah.
Like when I was in Mayanot, when it was located in an area called Shari Chesed, which is right next to Gan Soccer.
Yeah.
So there across the street lived this Kahana couple.
Yeah.
Called the Sunshines.
That's her last name, the Sunshines?
I've got sunshine.
They were the most amazing couple ever. The food was incredible. Everything was like amazingly artistic. They were armed. They're like the most eclectic mix of the best of everything. They're Kahana people. They were armed. They believed very, very strong. The house was beautifully decorated. The food was delicious. It was just amazing. Jerusalem, you'll find the most amazing people. Really unbelievable.
Mayanot has just moved back to Gan Soccer, like on Gan Soccer.
They're not. They don't live. They're not anymore off of.
No, they just built. I actually got off the phone with our friend Rabbi Shem Tov the other day. He called me, sent some love, asked me for some money. I often oblige because I have a lot of gratitude for that. And they have a massive building that they're almost done on Gan Soccer, like on the park, like a multi-million-dollar building.
I think I heard about that.
That was a more fun neighborhood for the boys than Meir Sharim, where the
Well, yeah, but I guess, yeah. But I'm having real nostalgia right now. I would love to go back.
When I went to Mayanot, it was while they were transitioning from Shari Chesed to the building in Meir Sharim and
Geula.
In Geula, right? And the house, the first place where they lived was a house, just a regular house in Shari Chesed, a Rahavi, a house, like a Jerusalem stone, like 3-story, like townhouse.
Yeah,
it was awesome. That was really incredible environment. It's too
back
small.
then it was probably way cheaper than it is today.
Probably.
Well, it's always free. Everyone gets scholarships.
Seriously,
No, I'm talking about
down
their house, not the.
Oh,
you walk down the street. You walk down the street from that place, the first Mayanot in Shari Chesed, right? Literally down the street, around the corner, there's a Parisian cafe that was opened up by a French Lubavitcher named Olivier, who made real French everything, real French pastry.
Olivier. Did he make Olivier?
Oliver.
I actually met a guy named Olivier recently.
I was like, how?
I'm planning my annual trip to Florida in a month.
You are?
I'm gonna go pull on your beard.
My kid pulls on my beard.
That's amazing. How old is he already?
6 months.
Wow, daddy. It's amazing to see that Frankie's a father finally.
Yeah.
Can I show a picture? I'm going to send you a picture.
Yeah, send a picture.
Okay, hold on.
He looks like Zev a little bit.
Is he sleeping? Is he sleeping through the night yet?
Yeah, he's sleeping through the night. Yeah.
It's a big blessing.
It is. He's a beautiful boy.
My oldest son just had bar mitzvah.
Gentlemen, can you give me 1 second? I'll be back in a second. I think the cat is trying to get into the house. Just 1 second. You can talk amongst yourselves. Pick a topic.
Talk amongst yourselves.
What's on the agenda?
I don't know. We don't have an agenda. We just kind of like let it roll. You know what I mean? So what is this like? You had profound things to tell us. You were,
I had profound things to tell you.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be profoundness occurring.
I mean, I'm not sure. I need to be
So you just wanted to hang out, basically.
No, I'm always filled with profound things to say. I don't usually have an audience. Although recently I have.
You have a captive audience.
It's usually one-on-one. But life is filled with all kinds of exciting adventures and making space for it all, expanding. It's been a beautiful ride.
A brutal, like brutal, beautiful.
Beautiful. I learned this very, very valuable lesson over the past few months. I went back to some of these medicine circle spaces and I had this like an epiphany almost. It's like most of the people that we know, myself included, often spend most of their life escaping uh, something, which is usually some kind of deep fear or some deep trauma, whatever it is. The problem is most people don't even know that they're escaping it. And I find that if you're allow yourself to experience fearlessly whatever pains you in a non-escaping way, there you could find healing, and there you could find God in some of the most profound possible ways. Meaning, we all have escapes. You know, I was talking to a mutual friend of ours who will be nameless for a second, discussing some of their extracurricular activities, and he let it slip. I'm like, oh, you have all these outlets. Yeah, I have all my escapes. I'm like, oh, there you go. What are you escaping? They don't even know what they're escaping. They're just escaping. So sometimes,
I recommend escaping.
yeah, the problem with escaping is it usually leads to more pain and more struggle and more suffering because whatever it is that, and we all have like a share in that universal struggle, our own personal struggles. And
You
that's
know what they
cool.
say? Whatever doesn't kill you makes you very, very weak, almost dead. That's Norm
Yeah, I never
Macdonald.
heard
Norm
that.
Macdonald says that. He's like,
I hear that. But
hey,
yeah,
can you put? I sent you the
picture.
picture. Not. No, I sent it to Greg on Messenger. If you could.
Oh, I'll send it to you on. I guess
No,
I'll-
just post. No, if you could post it. I just like right here, like on
Nachas time.
the show.
Wait,
Here.
you want people to
Can
see?
I send you a video of my two younger kids?
Yes.
Oh my God.
But I want people to see my little
Really?
baby. Yeah.
I'm gonna send you
I
this
don't believe
He
video.
it.
looks like a baby. It's hard to tell. You know, it's not like
You're
somebody's
not
gonna
worried about
identify-
you know, stuff,
somebody identifying my baby.
something like that.
People can't tell babies apart from each other.
You'd be surprised, man.
Just put it up.
Greg, I just sent you a video of my two younger kids. It's worth watching because it's just hysterical. We were at a New Year's celebration at a local friends of mine.
Yeah.
And my kids tapped into their Bukharian roots.
Oh, because your ex-wife's Muharram. Oh, she's dancing to like what is this, like a Lezginka?
I don't know.
Oh,
He's
like
literally watching your video during our show.
he's throwing money. No, they're like throwing money. Your son is throwing money.
I'll send it to you, Frank. I don't know if you want to post it.
No.
No, I'll watch it after, when we get off.
They're very funny.
I'll have to watch it. But I want Alex to see my cute baby.
One of our viewers is asking about. I was just telling her about there's 7 potential zivugim.
I don't think Greg wants to see my cute baby.
Did you gentlemen hear about this idea?
What is the idea?
That there's like 7 people have seven potential.
Yeah, I heard about this.
So
You know something? I can speak to that for a second because I feel like depending where we are in our own life,
yeah,
in terms of how much progress we make with our own ability to step into our own power and our own values and our own progress in what we're here for in this world,
yeah,
ranging from the lowest like physical Gashmiya space to like really refined spiritual space. I think there's a zivuk for each level.
yeah, for sure. That's what this person was asking. They were asking the question like this: are in the Jewish concepts all of the 7 with full potential, or is only one with full potential, and the other ones are people to help develop, like to help you develop?
Yeah, it's interesting. I had my ex-girlfriend, not the one that just broke up the engagement, but the one prior to that. In many ways, I feel like that was a zivug of mine, but not for the purposes of being together with her for the rest of our lives, but for the purposes of helping me access real growth.
Yeah,
and it was like a teacher of mine.
teacher. Yeah, I've had those people.
So, and even the woman I just was engaged to, that was,
Yeah.
she's like a Rebbe. She's like gives classes on Hasidus and like,
It's pretty cool.
I feel like I was with a Rebbitzin.
That's funny.
No, we have to define these terms a little bit more accurately. Rabbis and rebbitzins are far more than people that know subjects really well. Real rabbis and rebbitzins are tremendously powerful spiritual people who sacrifice their own energy, time, and everything in the service of God. And which means they are, that David Goggins, that like that famous, like,
Yeah.
right? He's like, embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Right? Like people like whatever. But so that's what they're like, except for
Feel
God.
the pain. Step into the pain.
That's what that's what they're like for God. They're not gonna buckle when things get a little awkward, a little uncomfortable. Oh, this is not right for me. This doesn't feel. Our people are, you could know the Tanya really well. You can give over, but that for some reason that doesn't stop people from being wishy-washy. Real Torah is supposed to penetrate you and change your character and live by it. Okay. So some people in our generation, they're like, oh, he's a good boy. He's pleasant. He knows the book really well. Let him give a class, make him feel like he's a rabbi. He ain't a rabbi. A rabbi is like, I keep bringing up the same metaphor, except there's many, not metaphor, example, but there are many, many, many examples like this. But the Maharam,
Haram Das.
Of Rothenburg.
of Rothenburg.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Alex?
No, I was making a
He
joke.
was kidnapped by the local nobles, right? Or even the king, because they wanted to get a ransom from the Jewish community. You heard the story?
Yes. It's a very
I'm
famous.
talking to Alex. I know you heard the story.
I'm listening. No.
He
Really?
refused. He forbade his community from paying the ransom.
That's
You
crazy.
shall not negotiate with terrorists.
Right.
Pretty much.
He sacrificed himself to make sure that they would not encourage any more of these things. They have to show that it doesn't work.
People like this are like one in a bazillion.
No, but our leaders,
Yeah, no, they were.
generations. That's what a rabbi is.
Yeah. The leaders today wouldn't do that.
We don't have leaders. We don't have.
So I take it back. This woman that I just called the Rebbitzin that I was just engaged to, she's not a real Rebbitzin because the second things got a little tough. She booked. Took the train.
Listen, it's our generation. It's not nothing. It's not even a. What is it,
Sometimes
indictment of her.
Frank, we all have a piece of that inside of ourselves. When we're confronted with challenges and trauma and stress that we can't control that are present in our lives, sometimes the ability to just feel it without escaping it, that's our Mesiras Nefesh. That's our way of.
Yeah, I was just talking to Frank about like how, in my case, why my whole thing with career and work and all these kind of things, the one common thing for me has been when I encounter people who are, pardon my language, shitty, or people who are even good people who get into shitty mode, who I'm doing business with. It makes me not want to, if that happens in enough times over and over and over again, and it seems to happen a lot. I don't want to say that I'm a victim. I'm just noticing a pattern. I don't know why. Like I don't. It seems like I'm always constantly involved with people who have no scruples. Doesn't matter what business I'm in, right? And they always seem to find me, And so at some point, my recourse or my reaction basically became just stay away. Stay not only away from them, just stay away from, like, for example, working for other people. Stay away from companies where there's like a manager, right? And I've had people tell me, well, if you don't know how to be a follower, you can't be a leader. I'm like, well, it's one thing to be a follower of a person whom you choose, like they say, for yourself a rabbi, right? A person you respect. But if I don't respect somebody, I can't work for them. So I'm just going to run away, or not run away. I'm just going to avoid the whole thing to begin with. Like I avoid, I don't know, working at companies. I avoid, recently I've been avoiding like interacting with people in my industry, because I just like, and it's funny, like recently I was reminded of why I've been avoiding it, because I just like, I'm sorry, I can't stand most of them. I really can't. And the thing is, I'm starting to think, is it me? Is it them? Like, what's going on here? Like, что происходит? You know what I mean? Like,
It's
but
you.
It could be. I don't know. Like,
Just kidding.
no, like really, it could be. I don't know.
You're not kidding.
Dude, I go to an
No,
event.
I actually was kidding. I was kidding.
Dude, I go to an event. I'll give you a second. I go to an event. My partner sends me to an event. I'm not gonna say which event. It's in the industry of food. And he tells me, go find this guy. He makes wine in Israel. Somewhere in Israel. And I built up this whole image of this guy in my head of that he's like this guy who makes wine, and it's like boutique wine, and he's into like the Torah and this and this and this. I find the guy, he's talking to his distributor, who's just like, I'm not going to say a frum guy. He's being the distributor. Like, I don't know what it is. I didn't do anything to this guy. He has like, every time he sees me, he's like nasty to me. He spoke Lashon Hara about my partner in front of me. Like when I came up to the guy, basically I'm like trying to speak to the winemaker. And he's telling me about something else, and I'm like, listen, I'm just came here. He's like, okay, so sit down with him and talk to him. I'm like, I had enough courtesy to wait for you guys to stop speaking. I don't do what you do, which is butt into conversations. This is something I notice in the frum world. People just run into conversations. They don't even say, excuse me, like, they don't even notice your presence. You know what I mean? Again, it's a pattern I'm noticing. So I sit down with this guy, and like he's like, okay, so like let me hear your your partner told me a little bit about what you guys do, marketing. Let me hear your what do you propose? So I start giving my kind of spiel, and these Hasidic guys start coming, and they're just like, they see that I'm talking to him, and they're like, oh, great wine, and he just like he just trails off, and I'm just like, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just like, I'm just reminded of why I haven't seen these people in months, why I haven't interacted with any of these people in months. Я просто не могу. Я не могу. Dude, I don't know. Is it something in the Orthodox world? Is it me? Is it them? Is it both? What is it? Tell me. Tell me, Alex.
If you're in the sales world,
but it's not just sales world. It's everywhere, man. It's loyal.
Attention spans are shot.
It's not just attention spans. It's also nastiness. It's mad nastiness, bro. Attention spans, I know.
I hear you. Listen, I'm dealing with today I had a blow up with someone that's a close friend of mine. He's also a business colleague.
Yeah.
This is the Farrakhan section of our
it's not Farrakhan, dude. Frank, this is something that we are supposed to lead the world in midot.
Okay, so look, we've discussed this a lot, and you keep saying frum people. I keep saying fakers.
Dude, I'm talking about people who are wearing the costume, so they're representing something externally. Non-Jews don't know what's going on. Secular Jews don't know what's going on. All they see is the people that look like they're coming in the name of Hashem. Secular people are not claiming to be coming in the name of Hashem. These people are. So if they are, act like
they're not. By the way, they're not claiming shit.
Frank,
they were raised.
Greg,
I know they were.
Greg, let me respond.
Frank,
let me respond.
No. I'm not done. I'm not.
These people are not claiming shit.
Frank, they're holding a CFUZ.
Hold on, dude.
A CFUZ.
Bro, I'm gonna fight you on this. Just give me a second, okay? Because these are assholes who grew up in Orthodox families who did not absorb any of the principles or any of the Torah, and they behave like pigs. That's who you're involved. That's who is involved in all these businesses.
Frank, I know that.
They're not trying to represent God.
I ask you?
They don't know anything about God.
Can I ask you why? It's basically, why is it that it seems like it's like 90 or 95% of these businesses? Not only that, one would think that a winemaker who's making wine in Tzfat. We're not talking about somewhere else. We're talking
We
about
don't have Rashis anymore.
where
This reminds me of a
I don't want to. I don't need him to be
Rashi was a winemaker.
I don't need him to be Rashi. I need him to be just a basic mensch.
That's
Dude,
what I'm
You know that mad skit?
Wait,
Mad
come on.
TV?
He asked the question. He asked the question.
Lower expectations.
dude, exactly.
Greg,
Dude,
Greg,
I'm a Jew from Lvov, and I grew up going to clubs.
Greg, are you like on a tirade, or you want to hear answers?
I'm
like,
not
to
on
your
a
questions?
tirade.
So no, because look, I deal with like attacks against Jews literally all fucking day, like seriously. And you know, I think I'm maybe cracking up a little bit about it, but it's possible, okay? But in the past, you would have people who study Torah and be involved in agriculture. People who study Torah and they have a craft.
Yeah.
People who study Torah and they're shoemakers or cobblers or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not our society has completely changed in this generation.
I know.
Everybody of value, all the people with good character are not told to go into a trade. They're told to sit and learn. And then all the shit, the dregs, is what's left behind, and they act like animals and they embarrass the whole nation. Because our whole Jewish infrastructure is a mess.
I know.
Can I just say, I've had interactions with people that you are referring to, but I have also had interactions in business with Hasidim that are honest,
I also have.
Adel,
Alex, I also have.
hardworking,
I know.
Torah-loving people. And you know what? All of us have crap.
Alex, can I tell you something? I recently had a very pleasant actually interaction, Baruch Hashem, with a person like that in my industry, and I was like literally pleasantly shocked. I was shocked out of my wits that it was so pleasant. And you know why it was so pleasant? Because this person, he is actually either the grandson or the son of a big Admor. I won't say where. And he comes from a long line of serious people. And despite the fact that he's in business, this is something that was imbued in him since birth. But even nonetheless, I was still shocked at the midot, at the character traits and this. And I was like, it was like a breath of oxygen. I was like literally standing in front of this guy, young guy, in his late 20s, early 30s. I'm breathing oxygen talking to him. At least so far. It's only been one interaction, but from what I've seen so far, they send the dregs of the communities. Go work, go into business. If you don't belong in
Frank, I don't know. That's not. You have plenty of dregs sitting there in base midgers learning.
No, you don't.
Also.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do. You do. Some people are just not wired to sit and learn all day. Some people not wired for business. Yeah. Everyone has a Yetzer Hara.
Maybe they used to, and then they started whatever it is. They start a business. Maybe they do both.
My point is, it's what is promoted by the leadership.
Yeah.
The leadership does not. It says if this guy seems to have a head for study, right, for scholarship. Yeah. They don't tell him go start a business, go somehow interact with the world, and imbue your Torah wisdom into that, like Rashi did and our forefathers did. Okay, just sit in a study hall and sit. And then the guys who are not attracted to study, the guys who were always outside smoking, or they like to chat.
There's plenty of people always outside smoking.
And they're the ones who are told go to business, go work, go that kind of stuff. It's not a good system.
Listen, I have a friend who works in the real estate field in the New York area, and he tells me a particular sect of Hasidim. He's like, these guys, in terms of business, he's like, dude, you don't understand. These guys, it's like a combination of like, learning Talmud, Gemara, but then like, in terms of the way their head, we were just talking about this, learning how to think, right? But it's not only they know how to think. He goes, these guys are ruthless. You don't want to come across one of these guys in real estate. They'll eat you alive. I'm like, oh, that's wonderful, fantastic. That just bodes really, really well for
Listen, I deal with these
Caribbean guy in Crown Heights who wants to slap us in the face.
I deal with them.
That guy would want to do it anyway.
I know he would.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, nobody has sympathy for us. Nobody will have anyway. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, exactly. That's not. We're talking about what's right and wrong. Forget about how people look at us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're
Yeah.
talking about just among us, what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
And the reason why you see so much improper behavior in business is because because the Orthodox Jewish community, the leadership, does not send their best and brightest into the business world. That's my experience. I mean, you guys don't have to agree with me, but that's what I've seen.
You know, I was actually talking to some Hasidim the other day, and some different sects have different philosophies. Like Satmar, for example,
Yeah.
they're not into sitting and learning your whole life. You
No,
go
they're
learn
not.
for a few years,
So
you
I
go out
was,
into business.
yeah,
You know, Lubavitch, you know, go be a shliach. You
well,
know, it's like the Haredim, the Litvaks that are very into like sitting and learning all the time. And
gentlemen, can
you
I
can't
just,
make rules,
yeah, yeah,
blanket rules for all these people. There's
gentlemen,
so much nuance.
I will say what happened to me was that I'm, again, maybe I am admittedly a naive Baltruva. I was shown one bill of goods when I was in Israel. I came back to America, and I got a Mike Tyson knockout to the face when I saw what's going on with our people, like with the
You saw
priests.
our people not being religious. That's what
I
you saw.
got a Mike Tyson. I got like, remember when he knocked out who's that guy? The guy whose legs, the guy, when the commentators like his body, his something like his legs don't want to do what his body wants or something like that. His body wants to, but his legs can't anymore.
Was it
That's
Razor Riddick?
No, it wasn't Razor. It was one of the older. It was like in the 80s. Dude, that was me when I came back to America and I saw what's going on, and I still see it. I mean, it's just
it's interesting you say that, and I've experienced a lot of kind of nasty things in the Jewish world, but I feel also very blessed. I've got an opportunity to be in the Orthodox world in
for
Brooklyn,
sure.
in Long Island,
Yeah.
where I'm meeting and around people in the business world, people like real, sincere, normal, kind Torah people.
Alex, I'll tell you
It's
something.
just
First of all, I feel blessed when I meet people. Usually, more often than not, it's people who are not in business. What I notice is the people who are in business. I've met them so many times. Like I've been to their house for Shabbos. Who they are on Shabbos and who they are on weekdays, Jekyll and Hyde. Jekyll, some of them, not all of them. Some of them, it's just, I don't know. People who are not in business who I've met, Edel Madel, Baruch Hashem.
listen, business creates bigger opportunity for self-refinement.
Of course.
Some people aren't able to step up to that.
The best people.
Can I tell you about our generation just quickly? From this is a story from the Ari. I've also heard the story in the name of the Baal Shem, but I've mostly heard it from the Ari. So the Ari was teaching Rabbi Chaim Vital something about how things happen from previous lives, how things are corrected in the new life, in the next generation. So he's like, I want you to sit on this hill and watch what goes on near that tree, something like that. I'm kind of giving the basic spirit of the story. It's not perfect with the details. So you see a guy who comes with a donkey and he sits underneath a tree to rest and he goes to sleep, and he had a pouch, and he put the pouch like underneath himself, under like this tall grass that he was lying on, kind of as a cushion. He gets up and he goes and he forgets his little pouch. Then a new guy comes and he lies down in the same spot because of the soft grass and the shade from the tree. Okay. And then he discovers the pouch, right? And he's like, whoa, look at that. Right. And then and then the other guy comes and he's like freaking out. And then there's, and then he attacks the new guy who's holding the pouch. He's like, I just found it here. And he's like hitting him on the head, and this whole mess happened. So he's saying that, when he explains the whole thing, this whole misunderstanding that occurred, that where violence occurred, right? He's like, you see, the guy who had his money stolen in the previous life, he screwed over somebody in business. Okay. I'm starting to remember the story. It was actually the second guy who came, he laid down, he took the pouch and he left. And then a third guy came, laid down in the same spot. And then the first guy came and was like, hey, where's my money? He's like, what money? And then that guy started getting hit. So the guy who got hit, the third guy, he was the guy who screwed over his friend in the previous thing. Then whatever. The point is that I have a feeling that in our generation, all of these business people screwing each other over are like that story, except on a mass scale, because this is the final generation.
Yeah. Well, Frank, I'll
It
tell
has to
you
be something like that. It has to be something like
for
that.
certain. I know, or I can sense that like there's definitely some of these people that I've been kind of put together with in the field that I work are neshamas that I've seen before in like a, I don't know, somewhere like a shtetl or something, and I had some kind of a deal with them or something with them, and I have to, there's some unfinished business with them, you know, for sure. I know me and my partner, you know, I mean, we're Baruch Hashem friends and good relationship and all that. We see eye more often than not eye to eye. For sure. You know, I was here with him in a previous, you know.
I heard that a lot of us here
See-
are from the midbar,
Yeah.
from that generation.
Yeah.
This generation is full of people from
Or
that.
sparks of those sparks of them, Shmuel, not the full.
No,
So
I
can
know.
I ask you a question?
Yeah.
A bit, just quickly on this topic, as you mentioned how you stepped into, you know, the mainstream Orthodox world, and I guess this was already years ago, and you've had an opportunity to live in it and process it and experience it. And again, looking back at it in hindsight, do you feel like there's something there that's allowed you to strengthen your own connection, your own Yiddishkeit, just being able to find your own bearings within that kind of chaotic, non positive environment?
It allowed me to see, it's actually you know, it's interesting. Like I know people who, like myself, you know, became quote unquote religious in Israel. Like the brunt of their religious growth happened in Israel. People of Baal Tshuva, and they stayed in Israel. So they ended up staying in Israel. So all they see and all they saw is, you know, the community that they. What'd you say?
La La Land.
No, a little bit. Yeah, the community that they live in, whether it's Yerushalayim, whether it's you know Moshav Modi'in, you know the Karbach place, whether it's Pardes Hana, whether it's Nachlaot or whatever. So that, yeah, they're or Tzfat, like some of these guys in Tzfat, they're sweet guys, Baal Tshuva American guys, and I'm just like looking at them. I'm like, come live in Brooklyn for a little bit, and I want to see how you sit. You know, if you're gonna sit in a room that looks like a cave, you know, imitating the Arizal. You know what I mean? Sweet guys. And you know what? They should stay there because that's what they should be doing. And they should not expose themselves to this hellscape. But for me, I guess Hashem wanted me to see kind of the totality of what's going on and really all of this, the entire spectrum of what's going on. Meaning, you know, I moved to Crown Heights. Dude, you know who I met in Crown Heights? Off the Derech Lubavitch kids. I was surrounded by them. Not only was I surrounded by them, I found myself hosting, me and my roommates were hosting these kids in our house for Shabbos, doing what's called InReach. There's a whole movement in Crown Heights called InReach, bringing these kids who grew up in serious, like Gezha
Drama.
families. By the way, they don't leave, you know, like Satmar, when a kid goes off the Derech and Satmar or all these Hasidic groups, they leave the community. These kids stay in their parents' house and their parents love them and everything. You know, more or less, there's
amazing.
It's amazing, but like, there's still obviously there's like you see the damage and you see the pain and the hurt or whatever it is. And these kids came to our house and we're like doing, I don't know, I'm doing kiruv on a kid who grew up like learning hitas every day. I'm like, who am I? You know, Hashem's put me here to do like kiruv on this kid. I'm who the heck am I? I'm not a rabbi. I don't have smicha. I don't know.
There's only one way to do kiruv with these people is just
Love.
to be kind, love.
Yeah.
That's it.
Love
There's no other
and,
way.
and show them that, like, you know, that you're the real like, listen, I'm not pounding my own horn. I'm just saying like that you're here for because of your own, you know, I made the choice to be here, right? As I always tell my friends, I don't have to be here, right? I made that choice when I was 30, 29, 31, whatever. And they see it's like one guy even told me, he's like, dude, you're real. If nothing else, you know, even if I'm like this right wing, this, whatever, politically right wing.
I've been spending a lot of time the past few years, actually, since I got divorced, in some social circles that have a lot of these, off the derech, but they're all looking for spirituality. They all have a connection to God. They all have their own way, and I find it strengthening for myself to be in
Yeah, for
that
sure.
presence and still maintaining, my values and my principles.
Yeah.
And looking back at my kind of trajectory of being a frum person, I had my time in Israel. I had my time of being in that bubble of all the beautiful fruits of Yiddishkeit and Torah and all that stuff and all the wonderful stuff. But I think the biggest growth I've experienced and what really is my own personal intimate relationship with God has been back here,
Yeah,
has been in the shit, has been dealing with
I agree.
all the insanity of life, all the darts being thrown at me with a prayer book. God bless her soul. She should be happy and healthy. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys a crazy story. Like my ex-wife is in going nuts in trying to destroy me in every possible way.
Is
And
this something you're allowed? Is this something
she
you're allowed to
comes to
say
the
on air?
courthouse with the Tehillim in her hand.
Is that something that you're allowed to say on air or whatever? Or you're just kind of the point.
I wish her well. She should be happy and healthy. She's the mother of my children. She's also driving me crazy. You know what I mean? I'll tell you a story. We had court 2 weeks ago, and I went to the Rebbe, to the Ohel to daven, and guess who I see by the caver davening? My ex-wife. We're both we're both going, and it's like, you know what? And it was strengthening. It's like, at
Yeah.
least there's one place where we can meet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm diverging, but all this adversity, all this insanity that we experience is specifically designed by God for you to strengthen you. And if you allow it to hold you back and pull you down and push you towards negativity, that's not what it's designed for.
No, I know that.
It's just like, hey, you're
I
ready
just
to
think that
graduate. So let me put you into some more shit.
I can I tell you something, but I just think
It kind of makes you not want to graduate.
well, in which case,
Yes, but then when you do graduate,
Alex, so now
And then more shit.
here's my cardinal
When's the shit
question.
gonna end,
that's
Alex?
life.
So why?
That's life.
Wonderful.
Gentlemen, so here's my cardinal question. It seems like, I could be wrong, it seems like these Baal Teshuva yeshivas in Israel are not preparing anybody for what you just described. Some of them, for example, Esha Torah, let me finish that. They're preparing guys to be kiruv rabbis in French Hill, Jerusalem. Another yeshiva is preparing guys to go back to America to be, to work in finance and steig Torah with a chabura somewhere in, I don't know, pick a frum town, right? Another yeshiva actually is telling you, called Mahon Meir, it's telling you if you don't, if you don't live in Israel, basically you're not even a Jew. Whatever, like you have to live in Israel in order to keep the Torah. You must live in Israel. If you're keeping the Torah outside of Israel, pointless. But what they're not, none of those yeshivas are preparing you for is, I don't know, standing in a courthouse where your wife is trying to fleece you. Whatever. I'm just giving you an example. They're not preparing you for any of that.
I think my time in yeshiva in my note, when I was in that bubble,
Yeah.
I absorbed it, and I'm so grateful that I got that because
I'm
it
also
gave
grateful.
me a foundation to go back to when the environment externally and internally became filled with pits and snakes and scorpions. There's that foundation that I can always go back to.
Foundation if you turn in terms of learning, but I don't know. My
In
yeshiva,
terms of
Alex,
understanding that there's a truth in the world
yeah.
and understanding that
So,
I have it accessible to me every second of the day. All I need to do is allow myself to be present to it.
you're
How
right.
about a funny story
Yeah.
that involves Alex when we were in Israel together when we were 17? You want to hear a
Please.
story?
I love it.
So this is before you were, committed. You were just excited about going on an Israel trip. It was me, you, and Kostya. Okay. and Mike Levin. He was there too. And they took us on, and it was like a birthright type trip.
23 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we went for Shabbos to one of the biblical cities. I think it was either Shechem or Nachliel. And they put us in different houses, right? They said it was different families. And some genius, whoever it is, I still can't remember. I couldn't find the person that made this arrangement. Put my friend Alex here in a house with a very, very wayward 15-year-old girl who spent the entire night trashing everything about religious life. And I've been working on to make these guys religious. Right? This is what I was doing when I was 16.
I mean, this poor girl was in Australia. They dragged her into the middle of nowhere. She's like, "What am I doing here?"
Okay, listen.
I remember.
Okay, I know. I just remember how I felt. I was near Taliban levels. I felt the rabbi of the town was a Yemenite, with like he was wearing like, but he was with the payot, a Yemenite. Okay. And I complained to him about her. I was so angry. I was like, all the work I did, this what some idiot put her with one night with my friends and she ruined everything. And he's like, I hit her with stick. He said that. He wasn't serious. He saw me, he's like, he wanted to.
Is a 17-year-old hooking up with a 15-year-old illegal?
18-year-old with 15 is illegal, I think.
17 with 15.
It depends on the state. It depends on the state.
It was only first base, so
It depends on the. Well, I guess in Israel it's whatever. Speaking of Australia,
I saw the stupid grin on his face the next morning. He's like, the girl. It's like, bro, I was so mad. I was ready to go Al Qaeda, like on everyone. Like you put in a lot of work, and then one little.
These girls saw two American boys.
One little hussy ruins all the work.
They're like, freedom.
Gentlemen, can I read to you something that you might like? This guy Leon Kofmansky from Australia, our friend. I think he's
he said don't go to Crown Heights. Okay.
No, and then he said many of the Baal Tshuva yeshivas in Israel are bubbles. A place like Mayanot does not prepare one for living in a frum community. The only exception is Hadar HaTorah in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you're in the center of the ship over there.
824 Eastern Parkway.
Yeah. Rabbi, what's his name? The
Goldberg.
Rosh Yeshiva.
Rabbi Goldberg.
Very nice guy.
Is Rabbi Goldberg still the Rosh Yeshiva? He has to be.
Very nice guy.
Listen, I
love Rabbi Goldberg.
Obviously, Mayanot is not going to prepare you to live in New York City because it's in the heart of Yerushalayim. You're walking distance from the Kotel. You're going to Shabbos dinners to the Sunshines, and everything seems so cool. But the I guess it's programming or the brainwashing or the washed brain. The rabbi used to say, we don't brainwash, we wash your brain.
Yeah.
I mean, the being there for that year and building a relationship with God.
Yeah.
In that environment is something that, I mentioned my son. I just had a bar mitzvah for my son. I'm attributing my son, probably the first time, like 4 generations of Lefkoviches read the entire Torah parsha and the Haftorah in front of 200 people like a boss. And I give my own credit for that because I allowed myself to go there. And I'll give my ex-wife credit too, she's mom, but
yeah.
God gives us exactly what we need, even if it hurts.
Yeah.
Because we grow probably through our biggest fears, our biggest challenges, where we have our biggest growth.
Frank and I were talking about this whole thing, and Frank stated that he I don't know, maybe I misunderstood you, Frank. Remember that was a few episodes ago. You said you don't really feel like you necessarily changed, or essence of you changed, or you don't even feel like you grew. Or do
I said
you?
I don't feel like a different person than I did as a kid. And the differences that I noticed in myself are from trauma. And I gave the example, like when you come to this world, I gave him a metaphorical, like, your consciousness is in the shape of like a ball with lots of protrusions. Each protrusion is some kind of naive, like, like something a very innocent creature would want.
And as George H.W. Bush, Daddy Bush used to say, 1,000 points of light.
Or you could say 1,000 points of light. And then you take this like ball-like creature with a shape and with protrusions, like little appendages, right? Each appendage is a naive fantasy. Like a friend of ours, when they were 11, they saw something on cable where a gentleman would go up to a woman nude in the shower, and he would say, "I'm here," and she's like, "Oh, okay, let's do it." That's a movie, a fantasy. But he was a child, so he saw that movie and then went to a shower where there was young ladies present, and he thought that what was going to happen in the movie, he innocently thought, he's a small child, he innocently thought that was going to happen in real life, right? So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So the natural state of a person is they have that appendage which represents this naive notion, and it's very innocent, and there's really no reason why it shouldn't manifest, except for, well, that's a separate topic. Okay, so then you take that being with these naive protrusions and you ram it through a pipe that's much smaller than its diameter, and all that stuff gets broken off right away, and you just come up on the other side of a lump, and that's what's called maturity. That's
a decent muscle, actually. I give you credit for that one.
Thank you. I worked on it.
Right. It's like
no muscle is perfect.
Most of the suffering we have in our life is a byproduct of our own stories and our own narratives that we attach to everything. So sometimes you got to let go of the story, let go of the narrative, and just be.
Yeah, you're literally forced to do that. Forced. There's like no way to make it without doing that.
Just be present.
Because ultimately the world doesn't really care. Meaning, like,
no,
there's no.
It doesn't care at all, and it cares completely at the same time.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense, but
no, it makes
does.
sense. Yeah, because they care in the sense that they see the behavior that manifests.
They don't care because each individual person is in their own head.
Yeah.
But the picture is all Hashem.
Yeah.
Delivering exactly for you what your soul needs at every given moment, precisely for your own growth. And you have a momentary choice, usually at every instant, to take it and use it for growth or escape.
I agree with everything until you said escape. I don't think there's an option for that.
Well, we escape. What do you mean?
No, we escape
substances. Oh, everyone has all kinds of escapes.
Gentlemen, can I tell you something? Can I tell you something?
Escapes.
No, but it catches up with
podcast. This podcast, as much as me and Frank are trying to turn it into something, big and or monetizable, it's still it's for now it's an escape.
But there's healthy escapes.
Yeah, for sure.
So you're sitting here discussing real topics, speaking Torah for 3 hours instead of,
True.
All others, some people will sit and binge for 3 hours. That's an escape. Yeah. Or go do drugs, or go to whorehouses, the hospital, whatever it is, or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll argue with Greg a little bit. I feel like pretty much everything else we do, aside from this kind of.
Oh, that's a distraction. Everything else we do.
Literally everything else we do is an escape. And this is the only thing of value that we're doing, because we're talking Torah. We're trying to the best we can. I'm not saying we're doing it well, but we're trying. Yeah. We're trying to tease apart the wiring and understand what's going on. And I believe that this is real Torah learning, what we do here.
Yeah.
This is a base medrash. This is what a real base medrash is like, when you have serious people trying to get to the bottom of stuff.
Yeah.
And by the way, business people, the best religious Jewish, talking about Orthodox Jews who in business they always have a minyan and a shear every day.
Yes.
Those are the people that stay honest and stay true.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have daily learning in the job, in the workplace,
In the building, yeah.
then you become one of those. I'm one guy on Shabbos and I'm an asshole.
Gentlemen, you should both visit. I recommend. I mean, I don't know if you have an opportunity in Newark. There's a company called IDT. It's owned by an Israeli guy, Israeli American. In the building, they have, first of all, when you walk in the lobby, they have a giant American flag and a quote from Reagan. Then you walk in, I think it's on one of the floors, it's a giant shul. And on one of the walls, the side that's, when you're facing Mizrach, when you're facing Jerusalem, it's actually a giant, like, blown up printout of the Kotel, basically. And it's like, it's not the size of the Kotel, but the wall is really big. So you basically feel like you're standing in front of the Kotel in the shul, and there's Aaron Kodesh, and guys that are learning, and it's like, it's a telecom company. So there's guys like finance guys, accounting guys, whatever, telecom guys. But like it's crazy. There must have been, I remember my friend was working there for a little bit, and I visited him, actually it was my cousin. And he's like, dude, you want to go to Minyan? Let's go. So we get there and it's like, I don't know, 60 guys. And they're like rolling minyanim during lunchtime and a giant kotel wall, like insane. In like
that's the only way to stay. That's the only way to stay.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
Like
I was so when I was like a couple of years ago, I would say like 10 years ago, right? I fell into a pornado. Okay.
What?
A pornado, like you want to start watching porn and then it just like you try to pull yourself out of it. Sometimes it goes on for like a day or two. Okay. Thank God it's been a while. But how did I pull myself out? And by the way, I don't recommend doing this because I have no idea whether or not this was halachically allowed. But what I did was I got these special markers which draw on glass, like on windows and glass. So I literally drew Yud Hey Vav Hey on the computer screen on top, like everywhere, so that I can never escape it. So there's like literally no way you could possibly watch porn on that thing with Yud Hey Vav Hey.
Frank, can I just say something?
Yeah,
probably what you did is halakhically not allowed, but for your specific situation, it is 100% okay.
I had no I didn't have any halachic expert. First of all, I'm not going to go to somebody and say, I got this problem. So I'm thinking about, that was just between me and God. I was like, God, have mercy on me. I'm going to write your name so that I can get out of this hell. That was like a day or two of hell. God, it sucks. Yeah. You should listen to we made an episode a couple episodes ago. It's called Porn is a goddess cult.
Goddess cult, yeah. You're basically worshiping a god.
Porn is probably, you can make the argument, one of the biggest avodah zaras out there. I mean, it's the escape of all escapes. I mean, talk about drowning your trauma in instant gratification.
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about it from a psychological hashkafa. I'm talking about literally, like the ancient goddess cults that existed all over the ancient world. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, because it's the same horrible deal. It was always a scam. Some guy goes, like a strip club is a goddess cult. A guy's like, I want to go see a beautiful woman because he fantasizes about having a passionate experience. Guys don't get that at strip clubs or in porn. They kind of go there. It's a pipe dream, right? So but for some reason they're addicted to the pipe dream, but it's still a pipe dream. It's a terrible deal for the guy every time. Terrible. It's always either their essence is wasted with nothing to show for it, because once it's gone, it's like you realize that you were under a spell and somebody picked your pocket. It was like a trick. And it leaves you feeling embarrassed and literally like a fool. There's no positive memory associated with that, with what you did. Not like a real passionate experience, right? It's the goddess cult scam is what it is. So
no, it's like the destruction of our society. It's really terrible.
Yeah.
My rabbi, even though I haven't spoken to him in a while, I don't even know if he's still my rabbi. Rav Dror says it's precisely the reason why this generation will merit Mashiach, because this is probably one of the biggest tests, any
Well, my
generation.
rabbi says that Rabbi Milstein, that this Inyan of protecting the bris is the number one thing blocking Mashiach right now.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
Of course, it is
There
the
is
most
not-
difficult thing to deal
Dude,
with.
you're
Obviously,
talking about
And speaking of that, this week, Sunday, is the beginning of Shovavim,
yes.
which is you should come if you can on Sunday, Zev. Not Zev, Tzvi.
Yeah.
It's very profound. It's very beautiful. The rabbi has a service every Sunday.
What time?
It's 2:30 in Brooklyn in Bnei
Okay.
Yosef.
Because I have to
Every
go.
Sunday.
So Sunday morning, I have to go. We are, I don't know what word to use, inaugurating my grandmother's matzeva in Staten Island. So I guess
Oh boy. Okay.
no, I'm saying
Shloshim?
she passed away. No, she passed away 2 years ago. Not of COVID, actually. She was 96 and she had a heart issue. She passed away.
Well, it's like like we just had the fast 2 days ago, the Asher B'Tevis fast, same thing. It's a fast, and then
Yeah.
there's like a
Oh,
service, and
Oh.
it's like a real experience. Yeah.
Oh, so it's like a whole thing that your rabbi
And
did.
it's specifically designed to cure or to fix that zach, that
situation.
pagam,
Yeah.
that
I think you invited me. You invited me to one of these before, and I couldn't make it. I remember
every Sunday for the next 6 weeks.
Wow. You know what's interesting?
Shovavim
Then
stands for, it's an acronym for the first 6 parts
yeah,
of it.
Shmot of and then the rest of them until Mishpatim.
If anyone wonders how firm I am, I just tell them I do Shovavim, so that gives me instant credit.
why don't you tell the folks at home what Shovavim means?
Well, Shovavim is
The first 6
this
parts.
is the time in the Torah when the Jews were being enslaved in Egypt,
It's
and
the parshios.
also liberated from enslavement.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very powerful spiritual time where you can accomplish, the Arizal brought this down, how he prepared, Chaim Vital wrote down certain tikkunim that was then transmitted to the Rashash, and special prayers that are done during this time that are specifically designed to rectify, meaning you could do tshuva. This is the way that my rabbi explains it. You could do tshuva with the way we understand it, to have remorse for the sins that we've done and stuff like that, and not do them anymore and really get on a good path. But the sins that we do, even though we do tshuva, still leaves scars or pagams or certain blemishes on our soul. So the Arizal brought down certain very, very specific prayers that can be utilized to rectify those particular things, and Shovavim is a particularly powerful time to do that. So, my rabbi, he doesn't scream it, but he often speaks extremely passionately about, if only more people did this, how much rectification in Yeshua's things they would see in their lives.
Alex,
And-
can I tell you 2 things? Connected to this one aspect. There's a reason why Kever Yosef is the most contentious place in Israel, arguably, because we share, something in common with our cousins, which is the Brit, even though they don't have that same, it's not on the same level by them. They were also commanded to do it, and so we're not keeping it. And of course, who's buried in Shechem? It's Yosef, and that was his whole thing.
Well, Yosef is the midah of Yesod, which is
Yes. And the funny part is that the last few times I've been in Israel, I met a guy who does he calls them extreme tours. He organizes basically if you want to go to Shechem, if you want to go here, there, everywhere. And for some reason, every time I've been in Israel and every time he's like planned these tours, something always falls through, and something like I literally I've been trying already for the past like I don't know 4 years, even before COVID, since before COVID, to go to Shem, Kever Yosef, and something always gets canceled. I'm hoping this time around I get to go for the first time ever. And it's interesting because my birth parsha is Vayigash. You know,
Happy birthday.
it was last week. Yeah, so thank you. So it's really, I mean,
Yeah, it's just to say something. I went to like a Shabbos thing last week, and we were discussing Yosef, and he's known as Yosef Hatzadik, right?
Yeah.
We were discussing the whole story with the brothers, how he orchestrated this like pretty insane story by planting the goblin in Binyamin's bag and all these things, and how
The goblet, not the
goblet.
goblet.
It may have been
And
a
like-
goblin also.
the
and like
chalice. You
Yes.
know,
and how Yosef really accomplished a very high level of acceptance and humility by forgiving his brothers for what they did to him, and by really stepping into kind of like a loving, accepting place to them, even though he was banished into Egypt, into this terrible place, and
by the way,
even though he became
you want to know what he actually forgave them for? He wasn't upset about any of that. He forgave them for rejecting his idea about how the world should be rectified. The brothers had we're going to stay separate from the cities, and we're not going to get involved in the intrigues of city life and the ways of the world. And we're going to rectify the world by being like kind of separate from it and studying. We're walking on the earth, but we're not really a part of it. We're going to be holy while we're on earth, and that's going to rectify it. And Yosef's like, no, you got to get in there. You got to deal with all these people, you got to really, and they're like, guy's crazy. He's going to make us all, he's going to destroy us. So the whole thing about Yosef, he was a tzaddik, and they were all tzaddikim. They were all complete tzaddikim, as according to the Tanya, like a tzaddik gamur, right? As Greg corrected me last time. I said Gomer, I think. Gomer.
Yeah.
Gomer is the name of a person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gomer.
So they were tzaddikim, which means they didn't have the same kind of animosity that like simple people like me have. Like I'm gonna hold a grudge if somebody sells me into Egypt. Okay. Yosef was like, no. I mean, this is what God wants. Obviously, it wouldn't happen. He wasn't even mad at them for that. He was mad at them because they were arguing about how do we fix this world. That was the hot button issue. So continue. I'm sorry. Continue.
So, meaning he showed a tremendous level of righteousness with what he did with his brothers in the end, in the sense that he really, meaning the whole story with Binyamin was like confusing, like why would he do that? But I think the answer to that was he needed them to experience the pain again of what happened with him, with Binyamin, so that the next generations won't have to experience that. And I heard a commentary that when he revealed himself, it was too soon. If he would have waited a little bit longer, then that would have been a full rectification. Mashiach could have come. But the point that I'm trying to make is he demonstrated a tremendous amount of Mesiras Nefesh, a tremendous amount of humbleness in the way that he treated his brothers, right? And we call him Yosef Atzadik. But why do we call him Yosef Atzadik? Not because of this story, because he stayed away from Potiphar's wife. That's what makes him that's where he gets the name Tzaddik. He accomplished such a tremendous, incredible, powerful thing with the way he processed this whole experience with his brothers and all the sacrifice, all the suffering he went through in Egypt. But we call him a tzaddik because of that 1 minute that he was able to step away from the temptation of Potiphar's wife.
Yeah.
Just goes to show, it just ties it into what we're just talking about, how critical and how powerful that whole thing is.
Yeah.
And hopefully, Tzvi, you'll get a chance to visit Yosef this year.
Father Shem. Gentlemen,
Jakala.
it's Amen. It's 1 a.m. and we've been at this, I mean, at this segment
I
for
haven't.
about 2 hours. What'd you say?
Guys, it's been a pleasure.
For the folks at home, just a couple of like vocabulary words. You might have heard the word parasha. So the 5 books of Moses are split up into these portions. It's not the same as the chapters in the English translation of the 5 books of Moses. We have our own way of sectioning the sections of the Torah, and each one is called a parasha. And the parashas, they have names which are usually the first word of that particular section. So he was talking about parasha vayigash. That's because this section of this portion of the Torah starts with the word vayigash. I just, sometimes people don't even know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah.
Fran, did you see the video I sent you of my kids?
I was going to watch it after we're done.
Enjoy.
I will.
I didn't see your kid yet.
Yeah,
Send me a picture.
because clearly Greg is like, I don't want to see a stupid kid.
No, it's whatever.
He's
He's
looking
protecting-
privately, I don't know.
He's protecting our children from Ayin Hara.
from Ayin Hara, yeah. I don't know.
Is that what you're doing this like to protect me? Like you're like,
Yeah.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
love, only love.
Yes, sir.
Love is the answer to all our troubles.
Yes.
I feel like my baby can like make people happy.
Defend
whatever.
itself. Oh, okay.
No, don't. All right, fine, whatever. You scared me. Now you freak me out, and forget it. Don't show my
It's-
baby.
You gotta put like a red string and protect it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Baby.
because that works. Red string.
Protect the
I have
baby.
original source from Kever Rachel, so
Nice.
Frank, I'd invite you to come, but Greg, we have Schwitz tomorrow if you want to go to Neckfield Banya.
That's the first banya I ever went to. My father took me there when I was like 5.
What time?
I'm gonna be there around 8.
Alrighty.
And
Sounds
Frank, by
like-
the way, one of our mutual friends had a baby 2 days ago.
Is it?
CD.
Mazel tov.
CD, baby boy.
Send him my regards. CD.
Nice.
Baby boy. So that's his. He has a second. That's a second boy.
Third.
Right? Third boy.
Kid.
Third kid. Right.
Yeah, everyone is multiplying. Thank God.
I gotta hop to it. That's Hashem.
You got to get yourself a baby mama.
It's like multiplicity with Michael Keaton.
You can
know?
do it. Put your back into it.
Oh my goodness gracious. It's-
Come to show of him, man. Did you ever meet Rabbi Milstein? You gotta meet him.
I met Rabbi Milstein, but not, or maybe it was 3, or you told me about him and then I went, or somebody else told me about him and I went
There's a
with
bunch of
you.
them. There's a famous one that's H.
I went to the
Kodesh speaker.
I went to the Mekubal, the guy in Flatbush with you, I think.
Oh, maybe.
That was your
He's a
rabbi.
Mekubal, yeah.
Yeah, he gave me a little bit of advice. Yeah. That was my time. I had this whole block of time where I was going to, I think I must have met, like legit, they're all legit. They're not like charlatans. Maybe 6 or 7 different Mekubalim. Like
You went on the circuit? You went on the Mekubal circuit?
like some of them were coming here from Israel, and then I went to, there's a few that I like met when I was in Israel. What's his name? Nachum Cohen. There's another Cohen.
I don't know. I'm not so well versed.
There's like
But
a bunch of them.
if you have time, it sounds like you have your Matseva thing in Staten Island, and if you have the desire, you'll make it on time to show them.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? Just real Mekubalim. You know how you meet them? You don't go to them.
I know.
You're it's prearranged by heaven. You run into them,
Yeah, I know.
and then they tell you something, and you don't even know that they're a Mekubal. That's a real Mekubal, because a
Right.
person who advertises themselves generally as a Mekubal, you have a lot of these guys.
Well,
Let's say 1 out of 20.
yeah.
Rabbi Milstein is a good example of a real Mekubal.
Yeah.
It's very rare, very, very, very rare.
I met one of these people who I just like not ran into, but I met him through whatever. It wasn't somebody I sought out. Let's put it that way.
You know, like Lowell, he calls us Kabbalah masters, right?
Oh my God.
That's exactly right.
What
Can you imagine how
level
much
of
of that goes
society?
on?
What level of society on? If you and
That's what I'm saying. So when you
Jesus.
when you have, like, oh, here's a mukubal. Well,
Terrible.
it could be like one of us, and somebody called him a mukubal.
Listen, I go to many circles where they call me rabbi. I'm like, we got real problems.
We got
We got
problems.
real
We got
problems.
problems. We got problems.
Okay.
Dude, I heard the word rabbi from these like non-Jewish chefs when I was a mashgiach in Mexico, and I would just hear like across the kitchen. I was the only guy, Jewish guy at any given time. So it'd be like somebody would yell out, "Rabbi, come here!" I'm like, are they talking to me? This is terrible.
Talking to me?
Talking to me? I'm like, where are we? This is.
Listen, that's also godly message of,
It is.
hey,
It is.
thumbs up, man. You're
Not-
making progress. You're doing good.
Not only thumbs up, but you have the responsibility in this 15 minutes block of time where you're the only Jew in the kitchen, and Hashem just
Exactly.
wants you to step up.
Yeah,
What
we're
an
wearing
awesome
we're
responsibility.
wearing the armor,
Yeah.
right,
Of
of
giants.
our giant forefathers, right, who they were spiritual giants,
Yeah.
but we don't fit in their armor. It's like it's too big and it's like heavy and it's clanking around and we look ridiculous in it. But that's all we got now. It's us. It's just us.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Thus,
All right.
truth fanatics.
All right, gentlemen. This has been probably
Happy New Year.
one of the best episodes. Merry New Year.
Merry New Year.
Guys, you should invite me on again.
Yes, we should.
I definitely add value to your situation
Yes, you do.
in a very humble way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aggravation.
No, this was
Not-
actually.
not
Listen,
this
I
time.
think I'm
I
Not
think if
this
anything, I think if anybody, it was me that. I don't know if I provide aggravation, but
listen, you could
When you-
I think
when you start
I can
laying
really
into
play a
the-
role.
You start laying into the, to the.
I can
to the
really be a
fake
really good
frummies.
antagonist for Frank. Like I'm really good at
yes,
antagonizing him.
you're his.
I
I call you
was
aluminum foil.
restraining myself today.
You
I
were
appreciate
Frank's
that because I
aluminum-
have enough antagonism. Like I have enough of the people antagonizing.
Frank is on a warpath against Stu Peters, so he has enough.
Gundon,
Two Peters. Gundon. Who's Two Peters?
Don't bother with it. Don't worry.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Is he tribe?
Lashon hara. No.
Hell no.
No.
Semi-anti?
Hmm?
A semi-anti?
Super
Anti-dentite. Seinfeld.
You know who our people are? I didn't get a chance to say it the last time. Our people are practitioners of Torahism, Jew and Gentile, people who are not immediately poised to condemn a person. Like if they hear something really messed up about another person, they're going to want to do a little bit of investigation before they actually believe something horrible about somebody else. Anybody who has that inclination, those are my people. Okay? That's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
a little ayahuasca language.
Yes.
I'm going to the Regal Beagle. I need to drink.
Good night, guys.
All right. Lila Tov.
Only love.
Lila Tov. Right back at you. Peace.